top of the morning, and it is a beaut.
And the hope of the Irish as the future champion of the world.
A podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio.
Welcome to the Barry J. McDonald podcast. The place where dreams get dusted off and acted on. Because life is too short. We're living on a rock that's flying through space, and hey, what the hell else were you going to do with yourself here?
Hi, this is Barry here, and you are very, very welcome to today's podcast episode. Now, today's podcast episode is entitled, Could You Do 3 Pull-Ups? Well, could you? If the pressure was on right now, could you do 3 pull-ups? Now, the reason I'm talking about doing pull-ups is I was just reading an old copy of Randy Gage's last book, Radical Rebirth. He talks a lot of different topics, a lot of kind of mindset kind of topics, and how we're kind of programmed with a lot of lack programming through TV and religion and all government and all those different things. But he has a chapter on health. And he talks about how a lot of us, as we get older, kind of look at our health as if, we should expect certain things at certain points of our life. As Randy says, like when we go above the age of maybe 40 or 50, we assume that it's normal to put on 10 pounds for every couple of years of our life. So as we get older, we get heavier and heavier. Or we accept that it's normal for us to need to go on insulin or high blood pressure medication, or just, have our stands beside our bed, maybe have 5 or 10 different bottles of prescriptions, and we accept that as a norm, that everybody else is in the same boat as us. So that is what we need to expect when it comes to old age. But Randy says rightly that we shouldn't accept that, and we shouldn't go down that route. And he brought up this question at the start of the chapter where he said, imagine for a moment that the whole world was lined up and each of us had to do 3 pull-ups to save our life. Now, as Randy rightly answered, you could probably eliminate 95% of the population of the world if they had to go through that small physical thing. Now, why am I talking about pull-ups and why am I talking about Randy's book? Well, when I was thinking about that, health-wise, could we do 3 pull-ups? I was kind of thinking of business-wise. A lot of businesses probably right now are probably affected. Well, pre-COVID, they probably thought that, everything was hunky-dory, everything was fantastic, and then COVID came along, and then all of a sudden, they couldn't get any customers in the door, or they had never set up a website, or they had never planned ahead and asked themselves, if something goes wrong, how can we, keep afloat? How can we make sure we keep in contact with our customers? How can we make sure that we can get our supplies or whatever? A lot of us, when we are in a business, just assume that it's always going to be the way it is right now. That we're always going to have customers coming in the door. That we're always going to be making money at the same level that we're at. That we're always going to be the only one maybe who is selling that product on the Amazon store. Or we are the only author who is in that niche, but for a fact that things change and competition grows, and things that were once, with maybe, unsaturated or lacking in competition, you do find over time that suddenly everybody knows about it and everybody is in, the market or the niche that you're in. I remember even going back to the early days of the Amazon KDP store. The early days were fantastic. You could write any particular book. Now, maybe some people at the time probably weren't the best of writers. I would probably include myself in that, but I always try to write a good book and put it together and put it, make it as professional as I could and put it on the Amazon Kindle store. But at the time, in the early days, it was so easy to make money. You just upload your PDF document, and nearly by the end of the day, you could find that you were already making money in the dashboard, because there was so little people actually self-publishing books, so little people who were in different types of niches or that were writing to certain audiences. And if you were the only person who was writing to that audience, the whole world was your oyster. And a lot of us found in the early days of the Amazon store, like our royalties checks, people like myself who probably had been online for many, many years and didn't make much money. We were making hundreds, if not thousands of dollars from those, initial books we put up on the Amazon store. And, over time, more people found out of how good it was over there. More people joined in, more people started writing books, and then slowly the competition grew. And then the earnings kind of went down. And then it was the people then who provided great quality books that started making more money on the store. So a lot of us sometimes, believe that, like those people offline before COVID, who assumed that everything was going to be brilliant, that they never needed to have a website, or they never even needed to dabble in social media. They just simply opened their door and then everybody just came in the door and bought their products and services. A lot of us need to maybe just to, think about a business like that. What if your business was forced to do, 3 pull-ups? Could it cope with that, or would it just completely just fall apart? And maybe if you haven't reached that moment yet, or maybe you are under pressure right now, maybe it might be, as Randy had said before, maybe it's a good time maybe to get a pen and paper out right now and just write down all the worst case scenarios. What if maybe you couldn't contact your customers? How would you contact them? What if maybe your email provider lost all your email addresses? What would you do next? What if maybe your website went down? How would you cope? How would you get it back online? Or what if you lost your domain name? Or what if you lost this? Or what if that happened? Sometimes some of these things might never happen. You never lose your domain name. You might never lose those email addresses. Your website might never go down if you've got a good web host. But sometimes it's wise just to maybe think about the worst case scenarios and have something in place that, God forbid, if any of those things did happen, that you were prepared for, that you had a backup plan, that you could, try something else. Or if you found maybe that the niche that you're in was becoming saturated, there was too much competition, is there any way maybe you could come up with a new idea? Could you venture into a new, different direction? Could you pivot? Could you turn? Could you go over to another platform? Could you do maybe a business in a new way so that you are, back on a strong footing again? So give that some thought today, not only for your business, but also for your health as well, because at the end of the day, your business is probably only going to be successful as you are. And, if you're not in the best of health, you're probably not going to be able to give your business your, 100% of your concentration, 100% of your energy if you're lacking poor health. So give that some thought today. What if you or your business had to do 3 pull-ups? Would you survive? Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Before you go, Barry would like to give you a free copy of Words to Wealth. In it, he's going to show you 10 ways to make money from writing. Head on over to writecome.com now for your copy. Have a great day and come back soon.